This conference will now be recorded.
I am ready when you are, Mayor. We are at 7:40.
Okay, I'd like to call this council meeting. It is the City Council of the City of Escalon, regular meeting of August 17th, 2020. I do have a couple disclaimers first, and I would like to make this clear for the record that this meeting is being conducted by teleconference pursuant to the Brown Act waivers provided for under the Governor's executive order in response to the COVID-19 state of emergency. The agenda states how members of the public may observe and provide public comment. The agenda also states that the public may listen and provide comment telephonically by calling the number listed on the agenda. And at this point, would you all please put your hand over your heart as I will give the Pledge of Allegiance. And I see a little flag there right on the City Hall dais. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Merkin. Councilmember Ruggiero.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
Here.
And Mayor Swift.
Here. Seeing that we have no presentations tonight, we will go directly to the consent calendar. These items are considered routine in nature, interacted upon by a single action unless requested by an individual council
I'd like
member.
to see it on the screen. May I see it on the screen, please, with the agenda?
Okay.
Thank you.
Or a member of the public for special consideration. For example, regarding item number 2, I will be abstaining from voting on check number 73903. Is there anything else I'd like to be pulled, or I will ask for a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I would move on staff's recommendation.
Second.
It's been, I think I've heard a second out there, right?
Yes.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar in its entirety. We'll proceed with a roll call vote. Councilmember Bellinger.
Aye.
Councilmember Leggero.
Aye.
Councilmember Merkin.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
Aye.
I will say aye as well. Consent calendar passes in its entirety, 5-0. Staff communications. Tammy.
Yes, Mayor and Council, included in your agenda packet were staff reports for the Treasurer's Report, Police Department, Animal Control, Development Services, the Building Department, Public Works, Water, and the Wastewater Treatment Plant. All of those were for July, and staff is available if you have any questions.
Okay, again, let's go around the table. Councilmember Bellinger, any questions?
None that I saw when I went through the information.
Okay. Councilmember Leggero?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Merkin?
I'm good, thank you.
You, Mayor Pro Tem Alves?
I'm good.
And I'm fine as well. Tammy, is there anything else under staff communications?
I did want to let the council know that Lear Development did come in and pay for their building permit today and pick that up, so he did meet his deadline.
Very good.
What was the total for the permit, Tammy? This is Mark.
Yes.
Apologies.
Mark, did you have a question?
Oh, my apologies, Mayor. I was asking staff what was the total that he submitted.
I'm sorry. It was 110,000 that it came out to be and some change. There were some minor adjustments that ended up being made to the building permits, and he was able to reach out to a couple of outside agencies that it had initially said they wouldn't give a credit and was able to obtain a credit.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Tammy, how do we stand with the storage situation?
So that was approved as it will be part of the retail store, and he will be required to offer to tenants the use of storage, fenced-in storage within that building.
At their cost, correct?
Correct.
Tammy, do you have anything else under staff communications?
That's all I have tonight.
Dominique, Chief Lackey?
I'm good, Mayor.
Okay.
I have another question, Robert.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tammy, now that he's paid his permits and stuff, where does that leave us in terms of his time frame?
So he's already outside of his time frame, so we don't really have anything. Although he has voiced that he is trying to move the project along, and I am assuming with the pulling of the permit and paying the permit fees today that he has got his funding in line. I did speak with a title company last week, and indicating that he was getting the construction loan for Building A, which is the old police building, so at least the first 4 units. That's all I can really speak to in regards to a time frame.
So he's exceeded his time frame, and we don't know what his time frame will be. Overall, in our overall contract with this gentleman, don't we have a deadline somewhere along the line on his next payment?
So, when we sold the property to him, we did carry a note, that is tied to 3 of the parcels there, and that has a balloon payment that is due in March of 2021. So that would be the next time that he would, that's when the note is due.
Isn't there also another time frame in terms of the project being finished? I thought we had one of those too.
Well, we did. That was part of his liquidated damages. But that's all been exceeded.
So where does that leave us in terms of expectations and finishing this project in the next century?
Well, it leaves it beyond our control.
Well, I disagree with that, but my point is, if it's not done in a timely manner, it becomes a nuisance. And I think it's something we should explore. I think the man needs to be reasonable in terms of his time frame and getting this nuisance of a site under control and get built out and done. So it's something I'd like the city to review and look into, because there has to be some sort of expectation in terms of when this thing should be done. We need to establish that, and then we need to present it or whatever. I just don't think we leave him loose and say finish it when you feel like it.
Yeah, I agree with Councilmember Alves. I think it'd be very fair and reasonable to press him for a specific timeline, and some way, somehow make him aware of that possibility as well, of the issue of becoming a nuisance. Our job is to make sure that we protect as much of the quality of our town as possible, and he needs to understand that, and hopefully he does, and hopefully he will, but just to make sure, I think it'd be a good idea at this point to ask him for a timeline and to remind him of the consequences, things that we might have to do if he cannot, go by a timeline.
Is there some sort of thing tied to our permit, the city, the building permit he just pulled? Is there a timeline on that permit's only good for so long to get certain completions before that permit expires or anything like that?
So, as long as you are getting inspections, then your permit will continue. If you go a year without an inspection, then it could expire. But you have to at least be having some valid, active inspections.
So valid active, that means that he could have something happen every, God help us, 10 to 12 months and get an inspection and go to the next stage, because construction's got a lot of inspections. So is that something that can happen?
It could, yes.
Okay.
And that's why I think it'd be important to remind him of the option that we would have to take, declaring it a nuisance. Just because it does need to be, time is of the essence for him now to get this done. And I think that they would be fair to remind him, what we would have to do, so that we avoid the situation that I think Councilmember Bellinger and the rest of us fear. So, is there any other discussion on that topic? Because I do have one quick thing I want to mention regarding the staff and staff communications. No? Okay. Tammy, can you mind explaining, you and Dominique did a lot of work the last couple of weeks. Can you mind explaining the City of Escalon business policy for outdoor dining at restaurants and commercial businesses? This is a good thing.
Yep.
Yes, so, at our last council meeting, it was brought up about the dining outside and, particularly Valley Inn, who had expressed interest in doing so and had gone through this process with City of Modesto. So Dominique is having some issues with her sound right now, or I would let her pipe in on this. But basically what we did is we reviewed what Modesto had put out for their businesses, and we refined it to make it more adaptable to our businesses. We didn't follow it to the detail, but we certainly used it as a great base document. So we have gotten that together. There's an application. It gives guidelines for the restaurants if they're going to use a parking spot or their parking lot, or if they're going to use a sidewalk, what they need to do. There is an application to submit. There is no fees associated with the permit. It's more just to give our businesses guidelines, and so we understand what's out there. If they are on a public sidewalk, it does require that they provide the city, or in a public area, it provides that they give us insurance certificate, so that we're not being liable for those kinds of issues.
And I think that typically Marge Jackson gives you a call, I believe, to maybe do a rundown of some of the meetings. Would you mind bringing this up to her this week?
Sure.
If she gives you a call, so that we get a little more coverage on it, and I'll try to do the same on Facebook. Again, this is a very good thing. What we're finding out is that a lot of the restaurants in our town, they're complying perfectly already, okay? But some of them may not even know what the options that they have. And this, the sooner we can get this out, the sooner that they'll know what the options they have, and that they don't have to just be doing takeout. They can have an little dining area too, and maybe a few bucks that way as well. So thank you very much for that.
Yes,
So
and we did send emails out to the businesses that we have emails on record, and we did a Facebook post trying to get that out also.
So Tammy, where does this leave us with regards to the Valley Inn? Is he able at this point to open up and put out tables and chairs?
So we forwarded that information to Brian, and I'm not sure if he sent it back to us and given us any indication if there's a hardship there or not, but we have been in contact with him. So I don't think that we've received anything back from him at this time.
Is the proposal including parking areas that allows him to bring tables in the front of the store?
Yes. In a parking lot, it allows it.
I'm just trying to understand what his latitude will be.
Sure.
I know
So in
he's
particular to
struggling.
his location, if he was wanting to do it in the parking spot in the front of his business, with tables and chairs, we would definitely recommend, a barricade because of the traffic
course,
that's so
of course.
close to those. But
makes
there's
perfect
definitely options for him.
Okay, good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so then, like I said, he's been great to work with on this one too. I do know he's concentrating on his Modesto locations right now, but because obviously there's things he has to do with ABC and things like that too. So I know that he was heading same direction here, but it sounds like this will be after he gets the Modesto locations that he owns in line with, again, a similar policy to what Modesto had. So, guys, thank you very much. Is there any further staff communications before we go to matters presented from the audience?
I will make one, I'm sorry, I got another note to make. The, at the last council meeting, we had the issues with the backup into the, pond, and we have been able to mitigate all of that and feel, it's all dried out, so we believe that we have taken care of that. And unfortunately, we did find where, the APS, which is the backup battery, at the lift station was intermittently failing, and there was not a alarm set up in the SCADA for that. That's typically a storm lift station, and that alarm was missed. So we've taken some other precautions, and we've put some more alarms in there for that SCADA to prevent that from the future. But we believe that we have mitigated everything with that pond. We stayed in contact with people that had called us, just trying to make sure and reassure them that we were working that area to mitigate that.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, matters presented from the audience. At this time, the public may address the city council on any item on the agenda that is within the authority of the council. We'd like to try to keep you to 5 minutes if that's all possible, because it's getting a little late. Is there anybody who is on the phone that would like to speak their mind?
Yep. Kurt Danziger, 389 Noni. I wanted to go back to the workshop tonight. I went back through the agendas here, and the council agenda item that was continued from February 19, 2019, March 4th, 2019, April 1st, 2019, and finally approved on May 6th, 2019 was PACE. And if you've forgotten their proposal and their work, I would suggest you go back to read it. Mr. Bellinger, you said you were unfamiliar with it. As a numbers person, you would really find it interesting. You would find the council communications to PACE. They conducted a very thorough study. I don't see how Eugene and Jenny can improve upon it other than add their costs on top of that study that PACE could have done. Again, the council didn't want to go for the Cadillac plan, the dryer, the chlorination. It was an added expense, and that it wasn't going to add that much value to a city that's not going to increase its population and housing stock. So I would request that you all go back and look at that. The people at PACE were really patient. They really did a good job on it. They had solid recommendations for the industrial side, which, and Jenny doesn't. Sounds like to me they're a little standoffish on that. We hold their permit. They're going to do what we ask them to do, within reason. And if they don't want to do it, then we ought to charge them for any upgrades to our plant that has to be made to accommodate them. And I hopefully you guys will think about that when they come back, right along with the price. I mean, all the charts and things are nice, but you got to put them side by side if you're really going to make a study. And we already paid for PACE. We don't have to pay for Jenny. So that's all I wanted to say. There were a lot of other questions that I had. I didn't want to take up the time, Mayor Swift, because I knew we were moving along. But, I don't know that the city should be paying for the football field lights. There was questions like that, taxpayer money going into that when they're already paying property taxes for schools and what have you. Again, down the road, next time they show up. Thank you very much.
Kirk, I appreciate that. Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak their mind? Or sing their mind, either way. How about anybody who's actually on the go-to meeting tonight? Huh? Okay.
In terms of
I'm
what,
sorry?
Bob? What is it
Say
you're
what?
looking for? What are you looking for?
To me?
Yeah, what was the question? I missed it.
Oh, no. Just, is there anybody else who'd like to, from the audience, who'd like to speak?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. Well, seeing none, I think we're going to roll right to council communications, and let's start with Councilmember Bellinger.
Just happy to see that we're looking to help our outdoor dining, everybody out there a little bit more now. We've got a little more clarity, and they've got a process to push it through. I think that's going to help our city an awful lot. Looking forward to getting a little bit more out of NG as well. Take a look at maybe that pace study a little bit between now and the time they come back in 6-8 weeks, like they said, so we can be a little more informed when that happens. But outside of that, that's about all I've got.
Thank you. Councilmember Legero.
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Merkin.
Yes, I too am glad to see that we're trying to help out our local restaurants, although I'm not sure anybody wants to sit outside in 111 and enjoy a burger. Yeah. Cammy, have we got any update or any further information on what's happening with the old Big Boy Market? I keep getting asked about that, and I noticed that their sign that they had up in the door is now gone. So is that a dead issue?
So we do know that it closed, escrow, that Orlando's has purchased it.
Oh, okay.
So, but as far as I'm aware, we haven't received any, plans or documents from, Orlando's at this time.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I got.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Merkin. Mayor Pro Tem Alves.
Well, I'd just like to say that I think it's an opportunity for us to look at our options, and if we can save money, obviously we should all be in favor of that. I just feel bad that I missed the first part of the meeting, but I will take the time to research what I missed. I may even go to them personally and go with them and go through it, because I'm very interested in what they're proposing. And in terms of Kurt's proposal or his recommendations, also I'm gonna look into that. I think he makes a good point. But at the same time, it seems to me there's a marriage between Pace and this other gentleman. I don't know how that works. But the bottom line is, it's something we should look at. Anytime we can save our taxpayers some money and make a better situation for all of us here, including staff and council, we should look into that. But other than that, I think we're fine. I just have to wait and see.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Alves. Yeah, and I'm going to echo what everybody else has been saying. Naturally, you want to go ahead and make sure you marry the two proposals. I'm interpreting as Pace as the subcontractor for Angie in this particular area, which is, of course, they have much more an extensive knowledge and study of our particular situation, and I think that's why Angie's going to definitely want to have them at the helm on that part of the project. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, this is something big, and I think that we got to build a town like this for the long term. And this is the kind of town, like I said earlier, that people enjoy the small town atmosphere and enjoy the lifestyle in this town. And unlike many towns we've seen around us that have decided, gee, the only way to be able to finance our aging infrastructure is by saddling up with a developer or 6 of them. We're in a position that we can do something really special here for a long, long time, well into this century, and let's see how it goes. And on that note,
Hold on just a minute, Mayor. I just want to make a reminder, we have a special meeting scheduled for Wednesday at 7 p.m. To potentially appoint our 2 nominees for our 2 open council member positions.
Very good. 7 p.m. then, Wednesday night, and I think that's when we'll see you guys next.
Mayor
Yes.
Swift, at your earliest convenience, please call me.
Yep. Okay. And I will declare this meeting adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Good night. Thank you.